Hey guys, and welcome to our first podcast. If you're new to the channel, I'm Mike.
Hey there, I'm Hope, and our donor Mac is going to be joining us a little bit later.
Today we're going to be doing a review of our 7-night Western Caribbean cruise on the Disney Treasure.
So we're going to be covering 10 different areas and giving you our thoughts on each.
Alright, the first section we want to cover today in our review is our room. So our room, we got the Deluxe Family Oceanview Stateroom with Verandah. So a lot of times when you watch videos on cruises, you hear about the size of the rooms and that they're very small. So I will say the room that we got, now we did get the family size room, so it was a little bit bigger. I felt like we had plenty of space to do anything that we needed to do. We didn't feel like we were tripping over the top of each other. So I really liked the size of the room that we got.
Yeah, by getting the Deluxe Family, we did get that extra 50 square foot of space. So there's a lot more floor space between the couch and the veranda door. It was mostly taken up by the storage cabinet that we had in ours. So in the Deluxe Family, you have either a storage cabinet or a pull-down Murphy bed. So the pull-down Murphy bed gets you 5 people that can be in that room. But like I said, we got the storage cabinet, which had like 4 or 5 different shelves in there when you opened it up, and they're really deep. And so I think we ended up with a lot more storage space than we needed.
Yeah, it was a 7-night cruise and we had plenty of space to put everything that we needed. We didn't have any issues. Now I will say that I'm not sure if you get that storage cabinet on a 4-night cruise or even a 5-night. We'll have to see what the Destiny shows, but we've been looking at a couple of videos on the Wish. It doesn't look like you get the extra cabinet, but for the 7-night, that extra cabinet gives you plenty of area to unpack everything and still have plenty of space. One of the other areas that we really enjoyed on the cruise were the bathrooms. I know that sounds weird to say, but they had a 2-bathroom setup, is what I'm going to call it. One of the rooms had the toilet and a sink, and the second one had the shower and a sink.
Yeah, I really enjoyed kind of like that split because we were, took advantage of it in the mornings, kind of getting ready. You didn't have, and then like he said, there's a sink in both of them. So I think that was a game changer. So in the mornings or in the evenings when you're getting ready for dinner, multiple people can be kind of getting ready and utilizing that space. And then, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I felt like that was very helpful. We didn't feel like we were extremely rushed at any point in time. You have excursions and other things you're trying to get to, dinner, but with that setup, it gave you plenty of space to get everybody moving around and going. Another thing that I thought was really nice was one of the areas that we were worried about was our luggage. We have some larger luggage because it was a 7-night trip. And we were worried, where are we going to put our luggage? Because the cabinets are rather small as far as if you have to stick 3 or 4 pieces of luggage in it. It basically takes up the whole space. But the good thing on the Disney cruise ships, they're 13, 14 inches off the ground, the bed is, and gave us plenty of space to actually stick all 4 of our pieces of luggage right underneath the bed, which was very helpful. We got to unpack everything in the cabinets that we just spoke about, and then we were able to stick the luggage under the bed and not worry about it until basically it was time to pack back up.
Yeah, I really, again, like you said, it was one of the areas that we were a little bit worried about. We got a little bit excited about this being our first Disney cruise. We went a little crazy with the Disney themed luggage, and so they were a little bit deeper, but then we were like, oh no, where are we going to put this? So them actually fitting under the bed was great. Again, gave us that extra storage that we were
very helpful.
we were hoping for. But yeah, we wanted to talk too about some of the extra Disney touches in the room on the Disney Treasure. talk about the artwork that's behind the bed. I think that started with the Wish class ships, them starting to put some of this artwork that's basically like the headboard of the bed, and ours was Finding Nemo. And I don't know, for me, it just kind of just added that extra little, fun and magic, continuing in the stateroom.
Yeah, it was nice too because they also had, on each side of the bed, they did have a switch to turn a light on that would shine on the artwork. So it really made it pop.
Right.
So I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, really love that. And then at the foot of the bed, there's a large TV. And I think on some of the older ships that we saw, there was maybe a little bit smaller one that ended up maybe being attached to like the cabinetry between the two sections of the room. They now have this large TV at the foot of the bed on the Treasure, and because of the size, I think it ended up working out fine. So Mac ended up sleeping on the pull-down couch, and she was able to see the TV just fine. The few times that we did kind of like have it on at night, kind of getting ready for bed. So I
think it was a 55-inch, if I am thinking correctly, but it was a nice size TV, and it was convenient. I liked where it was at in the room, so that was nice. So one of the other things when you're going on a trip that you worry about, you worry about different spaces and how they're going to work. One of the things is how am I going to charge all the different things that I'm bringing? So outlets, right? How many outlets? Where are they? So I felt like there were plenty of outlets in our room. So we had to charge our Disney bands, our camera equipment, our phones. I have my Apple Watch. So we had plenty of room for all this. There is a outlet on each side of the bed, an outlet setup. So multiple spots on each side of the bed you can charge. There's a setup on the desk. And there's also one in the bathroom, the one with the toilet, I believe. Now, 2 of these are universal, so you need an adapter. We took 3 universal adapters so we can plug everything in. I will say that the one at the desk actually didn't fit because of how they had it set up. So we didn't use one there, but we used one on the left side of the bed and we used one in the bathroom. And we still had plenty of space to charge everything that we had.
Yeah, and I think not being able to use the one at the desk ended up working out to my benefit because the provided hair dryer in the room uses that universal, it has a universal plug. So I was able to kind of blow dry my hair and kind of get ready right there at the desk with the vanity mirror and everything. So I think it ended up kind of working out. And again, like you said, we still had lots, we had plenty of plugs. We didn't have anything that added too many extra kind of plugs or anything. So we thought it had plenty.
I think you'll end up with plenty of space. So again, we had our camera equipment with the batteries for that. We had our phones. We had, and I think Mac even took her phone, so that was 3 phones. My Apple Watch, our 3 Disney bands. So we were able to do a pretty good job there. So again, 3 of those outlets are universal. One of them we weren't able to use the adapter; it wouldn't fit. But we still had plenty of space.
Yeah.
So one of the other things, as you think of these rooms, is kind of where am I going to change? Where am I going to have some privacy? Is there enough space to do these kind of things?
Yeah, because when we talked about the bathrooms, they are a little bit smaller, so you could be kind of bumping elbows to do that. So The one thing, there's a curtain that we ended up using for privacy. So there's a curtain that is between the main bed and the sitting area. So again, we used that when we were, like Mac and I were changing for dinner or for the day or whatever. And yeah, I think it worked out. And then even at night too, when she was ready and kind of zonked out, kind of like make it a little bit darker area for her, we kind of used that curtain.
Yeah, that was a nice thing to use, because like Hope said, the bathrooms, even though we love the bathrooms, they're not very large. So if you're a bigger person like myself, you can't really get changed in the bathroom without elbowing something. So it was nice to have the curtain for the ladies to change. And then I also used the area where the closets in the bathroom, when you first walk into the room, closets are on your, I guess depending on the room, on one side, the bathrooms are on the other. But on the Treasure, those closet doors open outward. So what I would do is I'd go to the closet, I'd open the one door, and then I'd open the bathroom door, and basically those two combined would create a wall. And then I had open space there in that hallway area in the room to change and not have to worry about anything else. So that was really nice. I do know that on the Wish, from videos that we've seen, that those cabinets, the closets, actually slide and they don't open. So I don't know that you'd have that same ability on the Wish, but on the Treasure, the doors open outward. So that was a nice help.
Another way to kind of add that privacy.
Yeah. Another thing that we really enjoyed about the room, or at least I know I did, it was the veranda. So the veranda, I love the ocean. I love the water. We're able to go out and just sit or stand and watch the view. We did a time-lapse video in our first embarkation day video. Really enjoyed that, but just the ability to stand out, listen to the sounds, feel the ocean air, the breeze, hear it, watch the waves in the water. It was really, really nice. Also, you learn real quick that it's rather loud. It's
surprising.
Yeah, it's very surprising. I don't want to call it a mistake, but I learned a lesson. We'll actually be putting out a video later, a podcast later, on things that we didn't expect or learned. One of the things you find is that on the ship, everything is really loud. But the problem is, you get used to it. So even though everything's loud, it's always loud. So you just kind of get used to the fact that it's that way. And I made the mistake of trying to do what I thought was a cool thing by doing my opening or closing for the video out on the veranda with the ocean in the background, not realizing that it's really loud. So when you play it back, you could barely hear anything I'm saying because of the sounds of the waves and the ocean.
But the good thing about the way that they've set things up, I don't know, engineering or whatever, but when you aren't using the veranda and you go to lock the veranda door, there's some sort of a suction that happens, and it's just like all of a sudden it goes quiet.
Yeah, it takes it from a ton of noise to next to no noise. It's really crazy how it works, but you don't notice it so much, but the second you open the door, it's loud. It's nice, but it's very loud. So one of the other things before we leave this section of our review that we wanted to talk about for the room is the towel animals. So every night when you come back from dinner, now we had the earlier dinner, we had the 5:45 dinner, but while you're at dinner, your room attendant, crew member, comes in and they clean your room and they leave you a towel animal and some chocolates.
Yeah.
So it was very nice because you get a different one every single night. So it's kind of a thing you look forward to. You basically, when you come back from dinner, you're coming back into the room, you're like, ooh, what what do we get tonight?
And then you're still kind of like guessing. You're like, I know it's an animal, but
Yeah, then you feel bad. It's like, okay, I know I should know this. It looks like something pretty neat, but I got no idea what it is. But it was our first cruise, so
Yeah.
hopefully we'll start figuring out what they are. But the chocolates were nice, and the towel animals were really nice at the end of the day. So that was nice. All right, guys, the next section we're going to talk about is the ship layout. So just as a reference, our cruise was sold out. So there were 4,000 people on board the ship when we were on our cruise. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about is how the ship was laid out as far as where things were, how it felt, how it was spaced. So we just want to talk about that.
yeah. And so I think, Disney is known for kind of like their like crowd control kind of methods. And so that is kind of like translated also in the ship and how they design the spaces and schedule different events and stuff. And so we felt like they did a pretty good job. Like the main times that you're gonna feel like there's a lot of people on this boat with you are gonna be many times like the sail away party or like big parties like the pirate night,
The theater.
and dinner times. Otherwise, like there's so much going on around the ship, different activities like you've got theaters and shows you can go to. You've got the bingo, the trivia, just character meet and greets. And they have those all spaced out really well so that you're not feeling like there's a lot of people around you at any one time and feel crowded. And speaking of like the meet and greets, they could be having some, like a group of them maybe in the grand hall on the third deck. But then, because that's open, you can see the fourth and the fifth deck when you're in the grand hall. Sometimes they'll have characters on either side on each of the levels, and they even utilize like the balcony midship as well. So the spacing, you don't feel like there's a ton of people and you can't like walk around to kind of like get to the next space if you're not waiting in line. They do a really good job of that. And then the pictures around the different dinner times, there are going to be some photo backdrops that might be a little bit more popular than the others.
Yeah, they have the magic shots,
Mm-hmm.
which usually the lines for those are longer than the character meet and greets, because the character meet and greets only last 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The magic shots, you're going to find you could be in line for an hour if you don't get there early.
Right, and so you do, because there are two different dinner times. There are two different opportunities for those magic shots. So don't feel like you only have that one opportunity. You missed it for a special one. So take a look. There were some that we didn't get before dinner that were like later in the evening. I think around 9:30ish. We were able to kind of get those shots that we wanted. So
yeah, and the nice thing too is they kind of pay attention to the size of the line. So like I said, the characters aren't usually out there for a long period of time. They're 15 to 30 minutes usually. However, there were a couple of instances where one particular character would get a massive line, and so they would do their best to extend the time frame of that character being out there, which then would create a little issue because they had already had another character that was supposed to come out at some point. So they'd have to do some maneuvering, but they tried to make sure that each person would get to the character if possible, to get their picture if that's what they wanted. So that was nice. One of the other things as far as the ship layout is concerned that I wanted to talk about was the restaurant locations. So we're talking about how the ship is spaced so you don't feel like everybody's right on top of each other. So the main three dining areas are 1923, which is on the third level, right off of the Grand Hall. Marvel, which is on the fourth deck, right off of the Grand Hall. And then Coco, which was on the fifth deck. So the nice thing they did here is they put one restaurant per floor and right off of the Grand Hall. The Grand Hall is a much more open space, So even if people are standing in line for dinner, you don't feel like it's as much of a nuisance with too many people around. I will say that 1923, you're basically waiting out in the Grand Hall area. Whereas Marvel, there's a pretty long hallway that gets into the Marvel restaurant. Same with Coco, there's a long hallway that gets to Coco, because Coco, that restaurant is actually all the way at the far back of the ship on deck 5. In fact, if you stand at the back windows, you can see the characters on the back of the ship for that one. So I do like how they have that spaced out. There's plenty of room for each of the restaurants. Also want to talk about the cafes and lounges. So the main 2 cafes, like coffee cafes, are the Hey Hey Cafe and the Jade Cricket Cafe. The Hey Hey Cafe is on deck 4, and that's right off of the Grand Hall as well. And the Jade Cricket Cafe is on deck 5, right off of the Grand Hall. Both of those are nicely spaced, so that right at kind of a corner point as you come around the Grand Hall to head around to go to other items. But they're in nice locations. And then the lounges. The lounges are mostly on the 3rd deck, 4th deck, and 5th deck as well. And those are nicely spaced as well, because you've got the Haunted Mansion Parlor, which is really
so popular.
Very popular because it's the newest thing. The Treasure was the first one to have it. I think the Destiny's also going to have it on that ship as well. You got the Skipper Society and the Scat Cat are your probably main 3. And the other one was the Periscope Pub. Again, all of these lounges are spaced out very nicely so that they're not right on top of each other. In fact, the Skipper Society is kind of a pass-through. You're able to get through on both sides of it, so that also is a big help, that you can get in and out multiple ways in that area.
Yeah, and one of the other areas we want to talk about was like the placement of like the stairs and the elevators, because that really comes into play when you're talking about like crowd control and being able to make sure that there is an ease of kind of people moving throughout the ship. So the elevators on the Treasure, they have 2 main sets, and it's more forward and more towards the aft or the rear of the ship. And I think, like we talked about previously, is like we didn't really feel like there was a lot of congestion except for dinner time and the shows.
Yeah, the theaters are the big ones.
Yeah.
When a theater gets out, or one of the big shows like so you've got the Sail Away Party that is very busy, and then the Pirate Night Party, and then again the theaters. So those can get, those are the one times when everybody's all in the same location.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that I want to talk about was the shops. So you have Mickey Mainsail is probably the main merch shop. It's the largest one as far as the main stuff. There's that one. There's what was the other one?
That the Dory's Forget-Me-Nots.
Yeah, and we're talking about layout. So Mickey's Mainsail's on the 5th deck. Dory's is actually right on the 11th deck, right off of the pool deck, which was a good spot, I thought, for that one. Because what did they have in that shop?
They had kind of stuff like sunscreen and towels and kind of.
Yeah, so like I think that was a good spot for it, right off of the pool deck. They have multiple shops. Majority of the shops on the ship, though, are jewelry inspired. But I think the layout, where they put the shops, I think they did a good job. It really spreads everybody out. And because Mickey's Mainsail was so large, you have some different space in there to not be on top of each other. So I think that was nice as well.
Yeah, and because of the timing of when they're able to be open as well, I think that's important to note, is even though there are it's like limited kind of openings.
Yeah, you have to be careful because when they're in port versus when they're not in port. Yeah. So you need to make sure you're paying attention to the Navigator app on timing of when you can actually get into those shops. But I thought the layout for those was really nice.
Yeah, and if you're still concerned about like, oh my gosh, this is such a big ship, like I'm not going to be able to know where I'm going. I'm terrible with directions. I can get lost so easy anywhere. So the good thing is that there are signs everywhere. And so I thought that was a great touch, you know, right off the elevators. There's a "you are here" kind of thing, and be able to figure out where you're going. And when you're on like 3, 4, and 5, that grand hall being open like that, I think is really helpful to get that visual of where am I trying to go. But again, like the signs.
Yeah, they have signage everywhere, which is really nice. It took us probably the first 2-3 days to start feeling like we had an idea where we were. And generally, I'm usually pretty good with direction, but it took a little bit. You had to learn, again, where your restaurants were. Once you learned that each one's on a separate deck, that made life a little easier. But as you walk around, you get turned around quite a bit. So it's kind of like, okay, am I facing forward? Am I facing, you know, aft? Where am I at on the ship? But they do have signage all over the place, which is really, really helpful. One of the other things we want to talk about in this section, as far as the layout, it didn't really affect us, but we do see in a lot of videos people talking about the adult area. So we're a family of 3. We mostly spend our time together, so this really didn't affect us. But the adult area on the ship is on deck 13. It's behind the funnel vision. You can't get to it from both sides. You only can go around one way because it gets closed off by the AquaMouse on the other. They do have the Cove Café and the Cove Bar back there in the adult area with they got a hot tub and some swimming area and tons of chairs for people to lay out or relax. From what I hear in other videos, the adult space is a little more convenient on the older ships and maybe more to it, whereas on the Wish class ships it's not quite as much space, I guess. Again, that didn't really affect us, but we did want to mention it, that it is in a different area of the ship. In fact, they do have signage up that they don't want anyone under the age of 18 in that space. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but it's mainly cut off from the rest of the ship. So it's there is a space for it. I thought the area was nice. We did do a walkthrough video of that as well in one of our videos. But it is laid out. Again, we're talking about the ship layout. I thought the ship was laid out really nice. So really enjoyed it. Okay guys, the next section we want to talk about is what I'm going to call Disney touches. What is it that makes you feel like you're on a Disney cruise?
So one of the ways that Disney does this almost kind of like brings the parks to you, where they have characters everywhere, whether it's just meet and greets or they're just walking around the ship. There was one day we were walking around and Captain Hook just was walking the halls. So I think that's an incredible like little Disney touch. Like again, like at the park sometimes, you know, it might take a little bit longer to kind of like meet with characters and stuff, but having them like scattered all throughout is a great touch.
So one of the other nice things on board is the artwork. The artwork is everywhere. I think I've seen in one of the videos that Disney put out that there are 10,000 pieces of artwork on each of the Wish class ships. So if you walk the stairwells, every level in the stairwell has artwork, whether it's in the aft or the forward stairwells. And then of course you have the artwork in the rooms. You have the behind your bed. You have the big one. We had Finding Nemo. You could have Mulan. You could have Moana. You can have Brave. You could There are all kinds of different pieces of artwork. Plus, in your room, you have some other same theming. So we had Finding Nemo. So we also had a couple other pieces of artwork in the room that also were from that movie. But again, there is artwork all over the ship, and all of it of course is Disney, so you get all those Disney, whether it's movies, whether it's pictures from the park, whether it's pictures of Walt himself.
And I love the variety too.
Yeah.
Like you've got the sketches, you've got the sculptures, you've got
Yes.
like mosaics.
Yeah, you have where the Imagineers were thinking of how to draw it up, and they have pieces of that. It's just really nice. You know immediately you're on a Disney cruise.
Yeah. And another area that they kind of incorporate this into is their choices when they're looking at carpets. Now, it's just like, you know, you're like, well, how creative can you get with a carpet? Like that's something that you just walk on, you know, but they really kind of like stepped it up, like with, like particularly in the Grand Hall, you know, with that being the Aladdin kind of theming. You've got Abu there kind of on it, and his transition from like being in his monkey form to like the elephant, and it's just, and then the colors with it.
Yeah, the colors are really spectacular. I mean, you're probably going, why are we talking about carpet? But if you've seen any of our videos or anyone else's, the carpet on board really stands out. I mean, and they don't skimp.
Yeah.
It is every different spot. I'll be honest, the hallways.
Yeah.
So the hallways, like our hallway, we had Finding Nemo. I can't remember what the other option was, but because it was fish, our door, what do they call that? The
fish extender.
The fish extender, which is haha fish extender. Ours was Nemo, right? It was a clownfish. But the carpet in our hallway was fish themed.
Yeah.
So in each floor, depending on what the characters are for that floor, one of the floors that we saw, I think it was more from the movie Encanto.
Yeah.
They had butterflies as theirs. It's just every little piece. They make sure that you're seeing it literally everywhere.
And it's telling a story of, you know, that floor or that whatever. So it's just the storytelling that kind of comes through. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's really nice. So one of the other items I want to talk about is the general theming. So we've talked about the characters, the artwork, the carpets, but like we said, the general theming. Everywhere you look, there's something Disney right there. From the artwork in your rooms, the carpets. So the theme of the ship, the Grand Hall, it's Aladdin and Jasmine statue there in the Grand Hall. You've got Peter Pan on the back of the ship. It's just everywhere you look, there is something telling you and screaming at you, you're on a Disney cruise. Now again, Disney cruises aren't the cheapest thing in the world, we all know that. But they try to make up for it by all the different, I mean literally you can't turn and see something. There's something Disney in everything that you see on board the ship, which we really enjoy. So that was, I think that's a really nice thing. All right, guys, the next category we want to talk about are the restaurants on board the ship. So there are 3 different restaurants, the 1923, Marvel, and Coco. So these 3 restaurants are where you're going to be every single night. So one of the things I want to start by talking about is the rotational dining. So on board Disney cruises, you get to do what they call rotational dining. I don't think they do this on other ships, where for us, we went to 1923 our first night. So we sat down with our table mates, we learned our head server, our main server, and our assistant server. But the good news is you didn't have to learn anybody else. So night 2, even though we moved to a different restaurant, we had the exact same serving team. Night 3, every single night, where you move, your serving team moves. So I myself, big Diet Coke person. Our serving team knew when I got to the table, I was going to want Diet Coke after that first night. So you can expect them to go ahead and bring you, you know, if you're drinking the same thing each night, they kind of learn you. Kind of like for us, we were videoing. So I told our crew the first night, hey, I'm going to have a list of things I'm going to order for myself, but I'm also going to have a list of things I'm going to order for us to review on our videos. So each night, I'll be honest, because one of the other things I want to talk about is you can eat as much as you want. You can order as much as you want. So each night there are 5 courses. Okay, you've got the app, you've got the salad, you got the soup, you got the entree, and the dessert. I would order all 5 of those. We'll say because I was wanting to review them. I would eat. But also I would order an extra appetizer, an extra entree, and an extra dessert every single dinner so that I could review those for the channel. So it worked out for me, especially desserts, cheesecake, gotta have those. Okay, so it was really, really nice. So it was nice that you had the same team over and over and over again, so you learn them, they learn you. You didn't have that feeling of, okay, who am I going to get stuck with tonight? I'll be honest, just like your table mates. You know, one of the big things, I don't know if other people feel this way, but when you first go, you're like, okay, who are we going to be placed with at dinner? Are we going to get placed with people that we really have nothing in common with? Because how does Disney know what you have in common with anybody other than you apparently like Disney? So I do want to give a shout out to Matt, Heather, and Lizzie. They were our table mates. Awesome. We were very lucky. Didn't get frustrated with us when we were trying to video some stuff. Also shared in the meals that they had for us to do some parts of our video. And we had a lot in common with them. We got really, really lucky. I'll be honest. We had thought about if we do future cruises doing, hey, let's get our table by ourselves. But because we were so lucky, now we may just decide, all right, let's try to get closer to the stage. We'll be with another crew. Hopefully we'll get as lucky as we got on our first cruise, which was really, really nice. But we also want to get into the different restaurants. So we'll go ahead and start that now.
Yeah, so the first restaurant, like Mike said, that we went to was 1923. This is the only one that doesn't really have like a show or entertainment kind of going on while you're eating your meal. But what it does have is the nice theming. So there's artworks and drawings and sculptures. One thing I want to mention is there are 2 sides to the 1923 restaurant. You have a Roy Disney side, which is where we ended up going, and then there's a Walt Disney side. But both of them, again, has the artworks and drawings and sculptures, and for a particular film like Finding Nemo or Moana, a lot of drawings and artwork related to that are kind of grouped together behind like display cases and stuff all throughout. So it's a nice atmosphere, I think.
It's one of the quieter,
yeah.
Not that any of them are quiet, but because there's no show involved in 1923, it is probably the quietest of the 3 restaurants. Yeah. So that was nice. It was easier to have a conversation in that restaurant versus the other one.
Right. And then the food. I think the food was, we really enjoyed it. It was our first cruise, so we were a little bit uncertain kind of what that experience would be. But I think the first night I had ordered the lamb chops, and I'm so still remember those, still thinking about those. So it was just overall, again, the theming and the food for 1923 I really enjoyed.
Yeah, so 1923, we were talking about a minute ago, eat as much as you want, and having the same serving crew. The second night in 1923, they had a lobster and steak basically meal, and the head server kept trying to talk me into ordering another whole plate of that. I'm like, I'm already having 8 courses. I would love to have another one, but I don't think I can work it out. So, but yeah, it was nice. The second restaurant, and surprisingly, this is actually the order we went on the cruise. The second night we went to the Marvel restaurant. So the Marvel restaurant's a very interactive restaurant. Now it's a little darker because they have this blue theme going on.
Yeah.
So we didn't realize it as much at the time, but going back and watching the videos, got a lot of dark pictures of our food.
Yeah.
But it's very interactive. They've got these, I'll just call them contraptions, that are on your tables, and you've got screens all around the restaurant. They're either to your left or right or in front of you. We were pretty lucky, I think, with where our screen was. Our screen was right at the end of our table. but you had a show going on. There was a thing playing to basically for you to be interactive with. Ours had Ant-Man and the Wasp, basically talking about things going on board ship, and the contraption, you would hit the button to do certain events. Night 2 at Marvel, you were doing a lot of trivia type stuff, a lot of guess who type things where you had A, B, or C, or D options, and they would light up certain buttons, certain colors, and you would pick. The one night there in Marvel, in fact, the first night in Marvel, it was funny, Mac was having a Spider-Man cupcake as her dessert, and Spider-Man came out and ran through the restaurant, and then actually came around to each and every table and spent a second or two saying hey to each person. Not really a picture time, but if you were ready ahead of time, you were able to get the picture as Spider-Man leaned in and said hello. But it wasn't one of those where he was stopping for every single person to take pictures. We were able to get pics because you could kind of see where he was heading. So if you had the camera ready, it was nice. And on our first night at Marvel, Hope was wearing a Marvel t-shirt.
I think it was just a plain red, but I had the Spider-Man earrings.
Spider-Man earrings. Mac had a, what is it, Ghost Spider t-shirt and mouse ears with the Ghost Spider thing on it. And then I had a Avengers t-shirt and Avengers hat on. And then as Spider-Man came around and leaned in, of course, he told me that he liked my shirt. And of course I had the camera ready, so I have that on the video. So if you haven't seen that, that was night 2, or day 2 video. But it was really nice, interactive, really nice that Spider-Man ran around and said hey to everybody. The video that they played up on the screen also had Captain America in it, Captain Marvel, and some others. It was really nice, really nice. Now it was loud in that restaurant because of it playing the whole time, but it doesn't play the entire time. It plays, and then there are kind of breaks where it's like, okay, you can
like
eat.
focus on eating.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about looking up the whole time to watch it. In fact, I think they kind of space it so that while the servers are serving, it's playing, but then it kind of quits so that people can take time to eat. But the food I thought was good in Marvel. Really enjoyed it, but again, just as a heads up, it's a little darker in that restaurant, and a little harder to have conversations because it's so loud. You kind of have to yell across the table at everybody, but it really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then the last restaurant we want to kind of go over is Coco. Now I think if you've seen some of our different day videos and stuff and heard us talking about this one, like the food this was probably our favorite restaurant across all of them.
Night 3 and night 6 6 videos.
And so it's more like the entertainment, like you really feel immersed. I think the location of where this one is, there's this long hallway that you walk down. It really starts to transport you, basically.
Yeah, if you've seen the movie, this entire hallway just has remnants from the movie all down that hallway, getting you ready to see this area, which is really nice.
It's incredible. And then the stage for the entertainment is basically in the middle of the dining room. So like depending on where you are seated, you might be able to be right up close and be able to be right near all of the music and the dancing and everything. Or you might be a little bit further away, but you can still hear it. I think that's the great thing about it, is even if you're not right up close, you're still going to be able to hear and be part of everything that's going on. But getting back to the food.
Yeah, so I will say that the food both nights that we were there was very good. The second night at Coco was stretchy pants. You need stretchy pants. Like I was saying before, I was having 8 courses a night to help the video, but I would not eat all of every single course most of the nights. But on night 2 of Coco, it was all gone.
To pass up.
Yeah, it was very hard to pass up. The one thing I will say too about the Coco restaurant, the first night at Coco, what they called their salsa was basically tomato sauce. They had no taste whatsoever. In fact, me and our table mates, we threw some Tabasco in it just to give it a little something of a kick and any kind of taste. But night 2, different salsa. Not sure why they didn't have the same salsa on both nights, but night 2 in Coco, they had a much better salsa. It was really good. In fact, everything on that second night, the show itself, everything, really, really, really good. The other thing I do want to mention here is just a helpful hint / sort of a reminder for everybody. Adults, just keep an eye on your kids in these restaurants. They are doing shows. During our cruise, didn't happen at the other restaurants, but Coco has the stage in the middle of the floor, and there are performers performing on top of the stage, but they also come down off of the stage. They go around the stage area, they come out around the tables. Just make sure your kids are staying, if they're gonna get up, make sure they stay near your table. We did have a couple of kids that got up and got right up by the stage area and would not get out of the way of the performers. And of course the performers are playing instruments and other things.
And they're dancing and moving around too.
Right. And they're not, as they do their routine, I'm sure they're trying to remember all the words and their dance steps and all these different things. And then if your kid's standing there, they're also having to try not to run over your kid as they're performing. So at one point, one of the performers finally had to stop, bring a kid over and say, hey, can you keep your kid at the table, please?
Yeah, it's just more of a safety thing, just to make sure that nobody kind of gets hurt. And
because you don't want the performer to trip and fall, you don't want your kid to get hurt.
Yeah.
Just
and then the servers are
nearby.
going up and down very quickly because, again,
with a lot of plates.
It's a lot of plates, and so just, again, just kind of like keeping, everybody safe.
Just keep an eye on where your kids are. Just if they want to get to a better spot where they can see, that's one thing. Just don't have them like right underneath the feet of the people that are performing, because they have a job to do and they're trying to make it to where everybody enjoys their meal. And I will tell you, the show for Coco, really, really enjoyable. So that was really, really nice. But this was our kind of quick segment on the restaurants. All right, for the next section, we want to talk about the fast food and quick service items on board the ship. So one of the first sections I want to discuss is the Marceline Market. So there's 2 main places you can eat. Marceline Market, which is breakfast and lunch, and then Festival of Foods, which is lunch and dinner. So I'm going to talk about the Marceline Market. So basically it's a buffet, except for the fact that you don't serve yourself. You walk up to the buffet area and you ask the server for what you see behind the glass. There are multiple different sections. I think Marceline Market has 5 or 6 different sections, and they're spaced very nicely. You have a section, then you have maybe 20-30 feet, then you have another one, and then you have the same spacing throughout. But it keeps the traffic down. Now the one area that may be a little higher is the kids area, kids buffet area, only because everybody can get food from the kids section. Anybody can get from any section, but the kids area, I will talk about breakfast. Breakfast, they have the pancakes and the waffles, and the one day of the cruise they have the churro waffles.
And Mickey shaped
churro waffles, and they are to die for. They're really, really good. I try to stick away from sugar as much as I can, but there was no getting away from that.
No.
But you have the option to go anywhere you want. Kids can eat at the other ones, you can eat at the kids one. And basically you can go to one section and go, hey, I'd like this one item from this one. They put it on your plate, you get it, and then you can walk to another section, because the food is different everywhere. They may have, let's say for breakfast, they may have 3 of the areas may have eggs, but the eggs may be done 3 different ways.
Yeah.
So it could be scrambled one place, it might be scrambled again, but a little different at a second place. It might be fried or over easy in another place. Yeah. You have that up. Same with potatoes in the morning.
Yeah, so definitely don't just go and start at the first section. Kind of do a walkthrough.
Yeah. That would be our advice. Walk in, do a walkthrough and get, because what's going to happen is you're going to make your plate You're going to go sit down, and then a table next to you, you're going to look over and go, where was that? What is that?
Yeah.
I want that.
Yep.
Do a quick walkthrough, and you're never going to get all the things you want. So you're going to have to prioritize.
Yeah.
And if you're like us, we ended up at Marceline Market every single morning, because your options are either go to Marceline for breakfast, or you go to the restaurant, sit down for breakfast. We did Marceline every morning because you had a lot of options. I ended up addicted to something called, what was it, some sort of egg fried rice. Yeah. I got it every single day. I couldn't get away from it. I really, really enjoyed it. Because to be honest, I don't normally eat breakfast, but on board I was having breakfast every day because we were doing a lot of walking. I think we were averaging over 10,000 steps a day. But Marceline Market, because it's buffet style, you have all these different options. There's a section, depending on if it's breakfast, you have cereals, you have yogurts, you have all the different things you can think of basically for breakfast. Now, I didn't see biscuits. No.
Yeah, I think there was bread for toast and things like that.
Yeah, but they have all kinds of, because it's an international cruise. You got people from everywhere on this cruise, so there are different types of food. I like grits. They didn't specifically have grits by themselves that I saw, but they did have something they called congee, and they had different versions of it. One day was ham, one day was seafood. I really enjoyed that. But at lunch, same deal. They may have shrimp, or they may have crab claws. Just so many different options. Just make sure you do a walkthrough, or you're going to be kicking yourself going, I could have had that, or I could have had that, or I could have had it. And then of course they have especially at lunch, they have a dessert section of the buffet where you can just, I'd like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. You can do that too. Just remember, you've got other things to do. You may be either paying for it by not being able to move much, or you're going to be spending the rest of your day in the bathroom. So just be wise on what you choose to eat. But again, Marceline Market, a buffet style, really enjoyed it.
The other area that we wanted to talk about is Festival of Foods. So this is your option, a little bit more poolside on deck 11, outside. So one thing, because you are outside, make sure to keep an eye on those napkins because it could get windy.
Also a buffet style, behind the glass, and the server serves you.
That's right. And so one of the options is Goofy's Grill. So you're going to have things like burgers and hot dogs and
tenders and brats.
Yeah. Really good option there. Donald's Cantina, which is it can be tacos, burritos, or bowls, and it's build your own. So the first day that we boarded, we actually ended up there for our lunch, and we didn't know that's what we needed at that moment. We took the first bite, and it was just,
to be honest,
good.
We got a later, because it was our first cruise, and because it was our first, we didn't get to pick an earlier time. We had a later boarding time, and because of that, I'll be honest, us going to Donald's Cantina, we went to Festival of Foods, is more of an afterthought. Just like, let's just do something to get it over with, because we're trying to get to our room, to get unpacked, to do our room tour, to do our muster drill, to do sail away party.
Yeah.
I want to do a time lapse, and then we had dinner. It was more of an afterthought. But this, like Hope's saying, the second we took a bite, you're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Even though this is a buffet, just go grab real quick, don't think about it kind of thing, it made life rough on trying to figure out what you wanted to eat after that point.
That's right. Well, I ended up finding my spot after that though, in Daisy's Pizza Pies. I spent a little bit too much time there. Now, these are just kind of like a little bit more kind of basic pizzas. You got your cheese, your pepperoni. I think there was like an Impossible sausage.
They had a plant-based sausage, and then they had a prosciutto.
They did, and I usually kind of try to go for the prosciuttos, but I'll say I kind of stuck with the pepperoni pizza. It was kind of my go-to.
I wish they would have had one that had more on it, but this is more of a quick service, so they had. Let's be honest, it was good.
Yeah.
I didn't spend enough time there, but then again, there were so many options. It was hard to get to everything. And just a quick helpful hint here. The pizza place usually stays open later than the other places. So the one night I did go back out after dinner, after these two conked out, did go back up and get a piece of pizza and started to watch some of the movie that was on the funnel vision on board.
And some of the other places in the Festival of Foods, Mickey's Smokestack Barbecue. This is one I didn't get a chance to go to this one.
I didn't either.
It's got good barbecue.
And that's not a knock on it. We just didn't get to it.
There were just too many options to kind of go for. And like I said, I kind of got like really pulled into the pizza place.
They have jalapeno cheese, not cheese bread. They have jalapeno cornbread.
Yeah.
I wanted it, never got to it.
Yeah, he's all about the spicy food. And last but not least for the Festival of Foods is Minnie's Delight.
She's a huge fruit fan. Minnie's Delights is where you get all your fruit. Huge line for the fruit for some reason. I don't know why.
They do have whole fruits there. So bananas, oranges, some apples there. But I think what really is actually drawing everybody is the soft serve ice cream.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So you can get that either on a cone or in a little bowl, I think, or a cup. But most of the time you're going to see people with getting the cones, and so you can have your standard, like your vanilla, your chocolate. You can have chocolate vanilla swirl, and then there's usually some sort of a special flavor of the day.
Flavor of the day. The day that I videoed for our video for this area, the flavor of the day was pineapple. And it's just like all the others. You can either get it by itself or you can get it in a swirl.
That would have been good. Oh man.
It's just.
It's good I didn't see it that day.
You basically should expect on the cruise you're going to gain 10 to 15 pounds.
Well, but it's offset a little bit by all
the walking that you're walking a lot, but you're eating a lot. So one of the other things we want to talk about is the jumbo suites. So one of the other areas that we're going to call a quick service type area is jumbo suites, where they have all kinds of desserts. Now, this isn't like the soft serve ice cream, which Marceline Market and Festival of Foods all included within the cost that you paid for your cruise. Jumbo suites, though, is a place where you've got to pay to play, pay to eat what you want. So it's a little more upscale. So this one, Jumbo Suites, is basically themed on the movie Zootopia. I think on the Wish, the same location is on the movie
Inside Out.
I think it's Joy or whatever her name is. And then on the Destiny, which by the time this comes out will be out and roaming the seas, it's going to be Edna. What's her last? I don't know.
Yeah, Edna Mode.
Edna Mode, and which I'm assuming they'll have that cookie that everybody goes nuts for.
Jack's cookie.
Jack cookie. But it has nice desserts, but just realize you're not going to walk up and grab it and walk away. You're going to get a receipt, which basically they charge your room because you put a card on file. But it is some good stuff. If you haven't seen it already, we do have a video out, a quick short video on Jumbo Suites, just to show you some of the things that they have and the items that we chose, just so you can see that. So it is a nice area to go visit. It has some nice stuff from the movie, from Zootopia there in the space. It is a small space though. It's not very large. Yeah. But the time that we went, it wasn't overly crowded, which was really nice.
Maybe one or two other people in there, so it was nice. So another thing that we wanted to cover was room service. So this is unfortunately one of the things that we didn't get to do on our cruise, but it's because we weren't in the room long enough, I think, most of the time. So, but room service is in most of the items is included as part of the overall cruise cost. Just make sure you
tip the person that's dropping your food off. That is not included. You want to give gratuity.
Yeah.
Make sure you give that person, because these people do this for a living. You want to make sure that they're doing a good job. You want to make sure they're rewarded for that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, a couple bucks per item or something like that.
So let's be honest, the only reason we can get to room service is because this one here and Mac were both conked out every single night.
There's just so much going on.
We never got to a point where they were awake long enough in the room for us to order the food. Now, let's be honest too, I was eating so much at dinner and then out on the pool deck that I wasn't very hungry by the time we got back to the room at the end of the day. So we're hoping if and when we do a future cruise, we'll at least test it out so we can give you a little better review of room service. We've seen a lot of videos on it. We never made it to it. But again, you have all kinds of options to order there. And I think room service is pretty much 24/7, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So that's definitely a thing to kind of consider, because like sometimes in the evenings, like if some of the the buffet's not open, like we mentioned, the festival of foods are only open to a certain time, and if you haven't gone to dinner, what are your only other options? It's room service.
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind too, or to inform you of, is that room service, so let's say I was talking about Marceline Market and going there for breakfast. The other option was going to the sit-down restaurant. Well, another option you actually have is you can actually get room service. They have cards within your desk that you can fill out and you put out on your door. You hang it on your doorknob. And you can fill out exactly what you want for the next morning. And there's a timing. You have to put it out by a certain time. I don't remember off the top of my head what
you
time
can
it
mark
is.
when you want them to deliver it as well.
And basically you put it out there and your room attendant will come by, grab it off of it, and he turns it in. And the next morning they bring you, because some of the videos we watch and the people we like watching, they like to do a pre-breakfast where they'll order an item or two to the room while they're getting ready, and they'll snack on that, and then they head down to either Marceline Market or the sit-down restaurant to get to the rest of the food. But it is a very nice option. Again, just make sure you tip each time, so make sure you have that tip money available.
And they will have a couple items on there. Just keep an eye. Again, I said most of the items for room service are going to be free, but there are some additional cost items in there. They will notate the amount in there. So
yeah, one of the last things we want to talk about here in this section are the drink locations. So within Marceline Market, there are drink setups everywhere. They're all over the place. So for breakfast, you've got orange juice. I think there's apple juice. I think coffee, obviously. There was one. What was the other one you were mentioning?
Hog juice. So I didn't realize it when we were on the ship, but I've seen some videos since. So if you've been to the Polynesian Ohana breakfast, there is a kind of a mixed juice drink. Polynesian Resort and Disney World in Florida. There is a hog juice. If you know, you know, and it's delicious. And I missed out on it.
But they've got, so like for breakfast, they've got all these options. Lunch, all the different sodas and tea. But that's Marceline Market. Festival of Foods, both Marceline and Festival are on deck 11. Festival of Foods is out by the pool. They have drink stations right by the pool area, right by Festival of Foods. The nice thing for us is our room was on deck 10. If we went to the front stairwell and bay of elevators, we would walk up one flight of stairs only. We were at Festival of Foods. And you just walk around the corner, you're at a drink station. So for places that don't bring drinks to your room, it's easy to go up the one flight of stairs, go get your drink, bring it back. If you're staying in the room, so like at night when you're ending your day, I drink a lot of soda, I'll be honest. It was nice to be able to walk up, fill up, and I cheated a little bit, don't tell anybody, but basically we ordered water for our room. We had little canisters of water. As I would empty those, at nighttime I would take those canisters up to the drink machine, fill up my soda in the canister, because otherwise you put it in the little paper cup and the paper cups get soggy. So it's nicer to do it that way. But the drink locations are, I think, very accessible, very nice. And again, it's Coke products, which we enjoy. If you're not a Coke person, sorry. But they have Coke products there, and they're all over the place. One of the options, though, is to either bring your own cup / water bottle / whatever you want to put your drink in.
Yeah.
Or you can buy one on board. Hope and Mac ended up buying one towards the end of our cruise.
Yeah.
Which made life a lot easier because they were basically able to get twice as much drink in it versus the paper cups. The paper cups are good if you're just sitting for one meal, but like at the end of the night, if you plan on going and just kind of being in the room the rest of the night, it's nice to be able to put a little more in there. So that was nice. So this was our quick kind of go through on the fast food and quick service items. All right, in this next section, we want to talk about entertainment on board the cruise. So there are multiple different kinds of entertainment. There is no shortage of entertainment on board the ship. So the first thing I want to talk about are the shows. So there are some of your major shows. You have the Sail Away Party, that goofy little show. You get on board or you see the videos like, all right, whatever. But the minute you go through that show, you're like,
it just kicks it off.
It really gets you going. And to be honest, then if you hear that stupid music after the fact, especially after you get home, if somebody plays that off to the side, you hear it, you start smiling because you're like, ooh, I want to be on a cruise.
And then the ship horn at the end. Oh,
it's crazy, but it's nice. So you have the Sail Away Party. That's one big event that pretty much everybody goes to on the first day. You have on Pirate Night, you have the Mickey and Minnie's party, and then you have the Rockin' Parlay with the fireworks. That's another big show that they do. They have different shows on board, especially at night. They have a bunch of adult shows. What is the one place, the Lion King thing?
Sarabi.
Sarabi's a place that has a lot of adult shows going on at night, usually 9, 10 o'clock or later. So if you want to get to those shows, make sure your kids are either in the kids club or in their room or wherever, depending on how you
because some of
parent.
those spaces turn into adult spaces in the evenings.
Yeah. So plenty of options at shows, which is really nice.
So another area we wanted to talk about is the Walt Disney Theater. So this is going to be the main spot where the dinner shows are going to be located, and you're going to be able to watch those. So these are your Broadway style shows each evening, such as like Seize the Adventure, Moana, and Beauty and the Beast for our cruise. They were incredible. So it's a nice bigger area. You got the main level is on deck 3, and then in deck 4 you've got kind of like balcony seating where you see more areas kind of the stage.
Yeah, so the same crew that does, it's amazing, the same group that does these Broadway plays, which there are 3 that she just mentioned, they're the same crew that also does the Sail Away Party. They do the Pirate Night stuff, and they do other jobs on board the ship. So I did a tour on board the ship. My tour guide was Max, M-A-X-X. He's also the one that led the Sail Away Party. He was the one out there with a microphone hyping up the crowd. But these guys just do all kinds of stuff. How in the world they remember the words and music and all and the movements to all these different shows. I do this for a living, but it is crazy what they can do, but really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a really great big space, the Walt Disney Theater. During the daytime, they also show some movies in there. We got to catch Lilo and Stitch while we were on the ship, so that was great, and it was a nice large screen that we got to view the movie on, so we really enjoyed that. And then they have a couple smaller cinemas. Neverland Cinema, which is, as you know, Neverland in Peter Pan, and then Wonderland Cinema, which is a theming for Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, one of the nice things when you're on board the Disney cruise is if they have a movie that is just coming out or just came out, you'll get to see that on board. So while we were aboard for our cruise, there were 2 movies that either had just come out or were in the process of coming out, and it was the Lilo and Stitch movie and the Thunderbolts movie. We had hoped to make it to both. We weren't able to hit Thunderbolts, but we did get to see Lilo and Stitch. So it's nice because even though you're spending a lot of money on the cruise, you do save a little money and you get to see it in a theater. And that theater's really good size. So it's not like a smaller one-off theater. It's pretty big, which is at least the Walt Disney.
The Walt Disney one, yeah.
So that was really nice. One of the other things we want to talk about as far as entertainment is trivia and bingo. So these are extremely popular. So if you want to get to one of these items, make sure you're checking your app, the navigation app. Make sure you look and see when these are. If you want to hit them, you have to get there early.
Yeah.
Most of these items, we tried the entire cruise to get to a trivia. We did make it to one, a Disney Villains, which we thought we were going to be good at. Not so much compared to others. We got 14 out of 20. People were getting 20 out of 20 and then going to a playoff or whatever.
Yeah.
They did really well, but these are extremely popular. So you want to make sure you get there early. Same with the bingo. Now we didn't get to a bingo, but the bingo is very popular as well, and both have prizes. So I think the trivia, when you win the trivia, you get a lanyard with a character medal on it. The bingo, I couldn't swear to what the prize is there, but I do know they had prizes for the bingo. I think one of the days was, I think, money. You got onboard credit or something. But that was really nice as well.
And so another thing is characters. So we mentioned not even just being able to engage with all the different character meet and greets around the ship, but also specific to the Treasure, they have two cast members. The theming is adventure. So they had these two cast members, Coriander and Sage. They are storytellers. They're going to be, I think they were part of the sail away party, kind of like taking you out onto your adventure. And they even do kind of a closing one as well, which again we missed.
Didn't make that either.
And like with all the other shows, we ended up missing a lot of Coriander and Sage, but it's incredible. Again, Disney is really great at the storytelling, and if you get a chance, don't miss them, because some of the videos that we've seen on them, they're just incredible.
Yeah, so one of the things I'd like to say here is, this was our first cruise.
Yeah.
If you are a person that's worried about, okay, I'm out in the middle of the water, what am I going to do all day? We were on this cruise for 7 nights.
Yeah.
We did not get to half of the things that we wanted to get to when we were planning for this trip. And we watched hundreds and hundreds of videos. Ooh, we want to do this, want to do this, want to do. We didn't get to half of it.
Yeah.
There are so many things going on that you have to make choices. You have to decide, all right, am I doing this, or am I doing this, or am I doing this? We do have a video coming out where we're going to do a podcast on itineraries. At the end of that, we'll actually scroll the daily itineraries from our cruise so that you can look and see. But there is no end to all the different options between the character meet and greets with pictures, trivia, bingo, movies, just everything going on, not including if you're in port, and then you have excursions and everything else going on. Like I said, we wanted to get to a bunch of things, and we thought that was easily possible.
No.
We literally did not have a time where we were just hanging out in the room. There were a couple of times where we were in the room to get ready for the next event. Like we both had a spa day. That was about the only time we were in the room. You got up in the morning, you went to breakfast. Now, you might come back, get dressed for the day, go out. The next time you're in the room was to get ready, get changed and dressed for dinner. And then time to go to bed. I mean, there's just so many items in the Navigator app. Make sure you check it. You have the ability, I think, to heart certain items.
Yeah, you favorite them, and if you set up reminders or notifications, I think for the app, it'll send you notifications, I think 15 minutes ahead of that, to help remind you of the things that you were wanting to get to.
Just so many things going on. So the last thing we want to talk about in this section for entertainment is the AquaMouse. So on the older ships, it's called, I think, the Aqueduct. On the Wish class, it's called the AquaMouse. It's basically a water slide. So you stand in line. You got to watch out for the wind. If it's too windy, either they won't run it, but it has to be extremely windy for that. Or they'll tell you need 2 people versus 1 person in these inflatable
tubes.
Floaty thing. You sit on it. Okay. But basically, you get there, you sit down. It takes you on a conveyor up into the tube, into the AquaMouse, and then it has video boards on each side, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We've got a video on this if you want to see that. But it basically plays an old style Mickey and Minnie cartoon, and I think each ship has 2 or 3 different versions, so you can potentially get different ones depending on the day and time you go. But basically you go through that, and as soon as you get through the video board, which is about the first 50, 75 feet, then the water slide itself starts, and that's when the fun begins. Really extremely fun, but basically you do your water slide, you go down and around all the way through, and there is a portion where it shoots up water from behind you, and you can't see, you don't see it coming. So just a heads up.
You're gonna get wet.
You're gonna get wet. You think you see it in front of you, and you're like, okay, I can kind of maneuver. Because like when you're in the video part, they do have a little water that sprays out here and there. No big deal. But there is a portion in the water slide where they have it, where as soon as you go over, it shoots from behind and just absolutely soaks you. But it is really, really, really fun. So we enjoyed that. So this is kind of our little section on the entertainment.
Okay, so the next area that we wanted to cover during our review is the kids area. So we needed to kick Mike out of the room because we needed an expert opinion and brought Mac in to talk to us about it. So we want to cover both the kids area, and then there's a game on the Navigator app called Uncharted Adventure. So we want to kind of cover those 2 areas. So Mac, our expert in this area, tell us a little bit about the kids area and what you liked.
The kids club was very fun and had some life into it. Also, if you want to play a game, you can go to the center of the kids club, like 4 corners, but you roll the dice and pick a color to go to and make sure to have fun.
Yeah. Were there some other areas that you think kind of really stood out?
Place where you make a roller coaster.
Oh, so you got to, I think there's a spot where the kids can go in and they can design a roller coaster, and then there's like a little roller coaster like style seating thing, and then a screen where then they get to ride through the roller coaster that they just designed. That's pretty cool. What about any other areas?
The Frozen game.
Oh.
And it tracks your hand, but it doesn't work very well, so just remember that because it might not work very well. And that is the same for the Marvels area.
Oh yeah, they have a nice little Marvels area where you get to do different different activities in order to then build a suit and stuff. But yeah, sometimes with technology, sometimes it might not work exactly as you'd like, but still a lot of fun though, right?
Yeah.
Still something you'd go back to?
Yeah.
All right, so another thing that we wanted to talk through is the Navigator app game called Uncharted Adventure. All right, Mac, what did you think about this game?
If you want an exploring game, then the Uncharted Adventure game is just the game for you. It has mini games when you arrive at the destination on your phone, and some could get a little bit frustrating, so try not to get mad on some of them.
Yeah, so with this game, you end up going and doing it on your phone. You create a little avatar and get to dress them up. I think that was probably one of the fun bits, right?
It was.
And so once you have your character, it takes you on an adventure around the ship. And like Max said, sometimes because you're using your phone to interact on it, sometimes it didn't pick up the actions on your phone as much, and so it got a little bit frustrating. But overall, would you do it again?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, and another good point about this is I think it really helped us learn how to get around the ship a little bit more by taking us on an adventure. What do you think?
Yeah, it did actually show us around the ship a lot.
Yeah, so
New areas too.
That's right. There were some areas that we hadn't gotten to on the ship yet. So, all right, well, this covers our review of the kids area and the Navigator app Uncharted Adventure.
And I'm back. All right, so the next section, we want to talk about the shops and merch on board. So one of the things I want to talk about are the options and the availability. So there are multiple stores on board the ship. They want to make some money. So Mickey's Mainsail is one of the main ones, especially for cups, shirts, stuffed animals, luggage. Most items you can get at Mickey's Mainsail. They also have a place called Dory's Forget-Me-Nots. A lot of t-shirts in that one, plus other things. They have a place called Treasures Untold. Those are the ones you can get a decent amount of your normal merch. But the availability, one thing to talk about, there are tons and tons and tons of things that are available, and they have a ton of them. So, you know, as you go through, as you can see here actually, we got, and it's hard to see, but I'll place a picture in the video. We've got a replica of the statue in the Grand Hall, which is Aladdin and Jasmine. And we also got a replica of the Disney Treasure, so we have that as well. Those are items that we bought. But a lot of different things you can get, pretty much anything you can think of. I mean, they have Christmas ornaments, they have magnets, pins, cups, services, mugs,
all sorts,
purses, bags, jerseys, all tons and tons of different types of merchandise options for you to get. Now I will tell you that most of these, if not all of these, are going to be closed unless you're out of port. So when you first get on board, the stores are not going to be open. You have to get out into the open international waters, and then the stores will open up. So just keep that in mind. Keep an eye on your Navigator app for timing of when these things expect to open. Now that timing may change depending on if you get delayed somewhere. But for a majority or a better idea, if you're in port somewhere, you're probably not going to have those available to you. Same with, even though it's a different thing, alcohol. If you're in port, some of the places won't serve alcohol because you're in port. So you just want to kind of keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and another thing to kind of consider, if there are popular like clothing items and you're worried about like your size being available, shop early and go ahead and get those. But at the same time, like if you don't see your size, don't be afraid to ask. We were in Dory's Forget-Me-Nots, and they had a shirt that Mike was really interested in, and he's just like, they don't have my size, oh well. And I was like, well, let's just ask. What can hurt? So we asked, and the lady that was helping us, she walked over to a little area where there was a mirror, and lo and behold, she just pushed that aside, and there were stacks of t-shirts.
It was locked, by the way. You can't just go in there and push it aside.
So she ended up kind of grabbing a couple shirt options for him, and even encouraged him to just try them right there and make sure he chose the one that was most comfortable for him. So don't be afraid to ask if it's something that you're really wanting, but don't expect it. But it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, I would say if you're going on your cruise and you have to come away with a certain item, say it's a Spirit jersey, whatever. If it's anything that has a sizing to it, if it's a piece of clothing, I'm a bigger guy. I wear a XX or XXX. If you want to come away with that, make sure you do it early in the cruise. They will sell out because some of the off sizes, they're going to have not as many because there aren't as many people that usually wear those. And when they run out, they're out. Whereas some of the, what we'll call, they think their normal sizes are, they're going to have a ton of those. So yes, ask for availability if you don't see it out there, and you might get lucky, but at the same time, also don't wait. Don't wait until day 4 or 5 on a longer cruise. Or just day 1 or day 2, if you are dying to come away with something, make sure you do it then. Don't go in the store and go, oh, I'll get it later. You can do that with mugs and cups and magnets and pins and whatever. Clothing is a different story altogether. If you want to come away with that specific item from that cruise, make sure you get it early. That way you know you're going to have it. You can always go put it in your room. And you also have the ability, we haven't mentioned this, but you have the ability to return stuff before the end of the cruise. If you go and buy a bunch of stuff the first day, because it all gets charged to your room, and you decide, you know what, I don't know how I'm going to get all this off the ship and back to the house, you can return the items as long as you haven't done anything to them. You have that availability to you. So just keep that in mind. Make sure for clothing items, if it's a specific size you're looking for, you look and do it early. Otherwise, you may miss out. Because some of these items are on the ships, they don't sell them other places. So it's hard to get some of this cruise line, the clothing for the cruise line anywhere else. One of the other things I want to talk about, we've talked about the merch shops. A bunch of the other stores are jewelry or upscale related. So there are a ton of stores that have these really neat either jewelry or upscale clothing or other items. They're not cheap. They are, again, upscale. They're very nice to look at. In fact, one of the things they have on the ship is they have a jeweled version of this statue. I think it's $18,000 if you're dying for it. I think I'm okay with my $50 or $60 version here. But just keep that in mind. Because another thing that we're about to talk about is if you're going to spend all this money on board, you got to kind of keep track of that.
Yeah, so there is a limit on like the duty-free merch that you can bring back to the U.S. in particular. So you might end up having to fill out like a U.S. Customs declaration form and pay some taxes on those.
Yeah,
so just keep that in mind.
So there are duties you'll have to pay when you're coming back into the States if you've spent too much money on this. I don't remember what the total is. So just make sure you keep track of that. Keep an eye on that. I don't know if you'll get pulled to get it checked, but if you're running around with a bunch of new stuff, you may get pulled.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yes.
So keep a hold of your receipts and everything so that that can be.
And it's a different group, so it's U.S. Customs. It's not Disney on the cruise ship, so it's not like it's going to be another expense that you'll have to pay versus what you paid on board. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, so that was our quick look at shops and merch. All right, guys, the next area we want to talk about is the cast and crew members. So on the ship, you're constantly running into crew members everywhere. Whether it's somebody in the dining area, whether it's a room attendant, whether it's people serving drinks, whether it's people at the buffets, in the theaters. These guys are everywhere, and they're the ones that really make your cruise worth every minute of the time you're on there. So just wanted to talk about these cast members.
The first one we wanted to highlight was your room attendant because, even though you might not spend a lot of time in there, just, the atmosphere when you are back in the room is important, right? So on the Disney cruise ships, the room attendant does come in twice a day So the first time is going to be sometime after breakfast, maybe like mid-morning, 10ish to noon or somewhere around there. And they do the first cleaning of your room. So you're going to get fresh towels, you're going to get your trash cleaned out, your bed made, or your bed's put up, depending on which.
So Mac was on the couch, which sounds bad, but it's actually, that couch is made to be a bed. So in the mornings, they put it back into a couch, and then at night, which she'll talk about, they actually put it back into a bed.
Yeah, so like I said, they come in that first time, do a really good clean there. And then later in the day, we had early dinner, so it was like the 5:45 time, and we went to the show. And usually after the show, if we were coming back in the evenings, they'd have come in and done another clean of the room. So if you had taken a shower in the middle of the day, you would get fresh towels then as well, clean out your trash, and then make up your bed for the evening. So like Mac's bed area, the back of the couch was pulled down and the sheets were all put on and pillows and everything made up. And then we'd have a towel animal and we'd have our chocolates to kind of like end our night with a sweet treat. But it was really nice, and I ran into him a couple times in the hall and always kind of calling out, making sure that we had everything that we needed and if we needed anything extra. So I really, I think that was really nice to have that option, on the Disney cruise where they come in twice during the day to kind of, attend to your room.
So one of the other things here too is on your first day on board, you have a lot going on. There is a lot to try to get to on day one when you're getting on the ship. You're putting your stuff away, your luggage. You got the drill, the muster drill. You've got the sail away party. You got dinner. You got all these things going on. Your room attendant will try to stop by if you're in your room for any period of time, just to introduce themselves, so you know who your room attendant is. If there's anything special that needs to happen, so some people have kids. That's one thing we haven't really talked about, that some people can order diaper genies and playpen thing. There's all kinds of options on board, but your room attendant will try to get in touch with you on that first day just to say hello, see if there's anything that you need. But it's really nice. It's really nice how they do their jobs. Really appreciate it. The other team that we want to talk about is the dining team. So the dining team, like we've mentioned before, they have the rotational dining. So your dining team is with you every single night at dinner, unless, which we haven't talked about, unless you do one of the upper scale restaurants that you pay for, Palo, Enchanté, whatever they are. You have the ability to go to those as well, but you will have a different crew in that one. But if you go to the three main restaurants, you're going to have your dining team every single night, your head server, your server, and your assistant server. These guys work hard. They pay attention. I know for us, we had a little bit different situation just because of our filming. So they knew, because I told them on night one, look, I'm going to be ordering food for myself, but I'm also going to be ordering food for us to review for our YouTube channel. So once we did that on night one, he knew immediately when he came to me, plus we are a little anal about planning. I say, hey, I had a list of all the things I was going to order already.
We had a laminated sheet.
Yeah, laminated sheet. I had already gone through the menus before we ever got on the cruise. I knew exactly what I was ordering. So I would come up and he'd just stand there and wait for me to read it off the thing and go, okay, I'm getting this for me. I'm getting this for the video. And he would say, okay, well, how would you, and they'd even check, well, how do you want it delivered? And for me, it was just like, well, I'll eat one, you can bring them at the same time, it doesn't matter to me. But they keep track of things like that for you. Just like I'm a huge Diet Coke fan, their job, because they're with you every single night, is to get to know you and what is it you like. So if you drink the same thing every night and you tell them, look, every night, just bring me a Diet Coke. You don't need to come ask me what I want.
Yeah. Things
like that. It's really nice. And again, your room attendant and your dining team, these are people that are trying to do the best they can because they survive off of tips. Okay, you can do prepaid or pay at the end of your cruise. Plus, on the next to last day, you're going to get a thing basically showing you what you paid already or haven't paid, and they'll give you envelopes if you choose to tip more than that. So just make sure you are ready for that and not surprised by that. I know people in Europe are not used to the whole tipping thing like we are here in the US. So just kind of keep that in mind, that these guys are working hard, and this is how they make their living. Just like a lot talking about this dining team, we've seen videos in the past where a lot of people never saw their head server much for the entire cruise.
Yeah.
We saw ours all the time. He came by multiple times each night to say hello. I mean,
and it wasn't because
he learned about us and we learned about him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was excited because he was about to be off for a little while and get to see his daughters.
Yeah.
Very excited for his time. He was very nice to us. He was the one that I was telling you earlier, was trying to get me to ask for more plates of food, which was just, I was already eating way too many as it was. But these guys do a really good job. So just kind of keep track of that. Now, if for some reason you get a crew that doesn't do as good a job, look, everything is opinion. You choose whether you tip more or you don't tip more. That's up to you.
But try not to reduce what the minimum is unless you get particularly
unless they're really bad.
Service.
Again, this is their livelihood, so just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But again, what do you normally tip? What's the percentage you would tip when you go out? Just kind of keep that in mind. Another area we want to talk about are the characters on board the ship. And when I say characters, I mean not only the people that dress up, but literally all cast members that aren't dining and room attendants. Because all of these people make their living by being on the ship as well. You've got the ones that dress up, you got the ones in the theater, you got the ones behind the bar, you got the ones behind the buffet, and a lot of these people do multiple things.
Yeah.
So just kind of keep that in mind. This is one of the things when you pay all that money for a Disney cruise, which we all know Disney cruises are one of the more expensive, if not the most expensive cruise out there. But there's reasons for it. The theater alone is one of the big reasons why I feel okay with paying the price. You get really good options and shows, and the people on board are really, really nice. They're really not there to tell you no unless you're really doing something you're not supposed to. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the people on board, again, this is their livelihood. Just remember that. But the cast and crew members on our cruise, I can only speak for ours, were really, really good. So on our cruise, Max was I took a tour on board the ship, Max, M-A-X-X. He was the leader of the tour, who led the tour. He was also one of the entertainment team members. He led the sail away party, a bunch of other things. These guys do multiple different things while on board the ship. They really don't have much time off at all, because ours was a 7-night cruise. On day 8, we're disembarking. Literally, when we get off the ship, they don't get to stop. They basically are prepping the ship for the next crew that's getting on the ship within the next 2 hours. So, especially on the Treasure for sure. Now, some of the ships have a day in between, some of them, but just kind of keep that in mind. These guys are always working hard.
Yeah, and if you do come across a crew or a cast member that you really stood out to you, or that was exceptional service or anything like that, and they're not part of the crew that you would be tipping normally, try to note down their name and give them a really good review at the end of your cruise. I think that's something that the Disney Cruise Line and the company
they do put out a questionnaire at the end of your cruise that they ask you to fill out. So just make sure, like I said, the dining team and the room attendant, they're in the normal tipping areas. The rest of the people on board the ship are not. And the group of people we literally have not mentioned yet are the officers of the ship. Now they come out at night in their whites, which is really neat to see. But they're all over the place. They have the entertainment director out there at the different parties doing different things. So just kind of keep that in mind. So other than that, just like I said, really, really enjoyed our cast and crew members. All right, guys, in this last section, we want to talk about the embarkation and debarkation processes. So on embarkation day, you're going to arrive at the port somewhere near your port arrival time. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pull into the port, and you're going to get in the line. Once you're in the line, you're going to pull up to a space where you'll see everybody dropping off luggage. There'll be somebody there, and they'll say, hey, go pull up to this number. So there's numbered sections, 1 through whatever. And you'll pull up to that section. Make sure you have your luggage tags ready or already on your luggage. But you'll pull up, you'll pull out your luggage. If you don't have your tags, don't worry about that at this point. If you didn't get them in the mail, you should have gotten them in the mail. But if you didn't, the people there, the porters there at this area, they do have blank tags. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to hand you, you're going to tell them how many pieces of luggage you have. You're going to then get those tags. You'll write your room number on the tags, put them on your luggage, and then they take them from you. You want to give them all of your larger luggage. Make sure you tip them, but you want to give them your large luggage. The only thing you're going to keep are your carry-ons. So I kept my camera bag, Mac had a book bag, Hope had a smaller backpack.
Yeah, mini backpack.
So make sure you drop all those items off. That way you're not dragging them around from the parking garage all the way to the terminal itself. But then once you drop off your luggage, then you're going to head over and you're going to go to the parking garage. And the first thing you do is you pull over to the machines where you have to pay. So your parking garage is assigned basically just for your cruise. Nobody else is going to park in that parking garage. So when you pull up to pay, it already knows exactly your cost. Everybody's paying the same thing. I think ours was $140 something for the 7-night cruise. But only people for that cruise are staying in that parking garage. That way it's pretty simple. You don't have to figure out anything. You'll pay, it'll give you a little card saying that you paid, and then the gate will go up, and then you head on into the parking garage and find your spot. And then from there, you're going to head from the parking garage. If you're up on a higher level, you'll head down the elevator, and then you head down across the way over to the terminal where you'll get in line.
So for your port arrival time, like I said, that gets assigned when you do the online check-in. So sometimes if you get there a little bit early, you might have a little bit of a waiting time. But the nice thing is they have these lines set up, kind of sections, and they put the port arrival time on each of them. So if you see your port arrival time listed, go ahead and get in that line. Otherwise, kind of like stay back out of the way. It is a covered area outside of the terminal, so that is nice. But then again, once your port arrival time kind of gets put up on at the front of the line, go ahead and get in that line because you're going to be heading inside and going through security.
So real quick, so when we went, I can only speak for them, there were 4 times, which basically covers an hour because every arrival time is 15 minutes. So they'll have one line that's one time, the next line is 15 minutes after that, same and same. So you basically covers an hour, and like Hope said, if yours is already passed because you're running late, then you'll just let them know and they'll have you go on and go through. If your time has not come yet and it's not posted yet, like she said, you have to stay back out of the way and wait for yours to be posted to get in that line.
Yep. And then once your time has arrived and you go through those doors, you're going to be standing in line for security. So everywhere throughout this process, people are directing you. So don't get too concerned about like, where should I be standing? There's always going to be someone there to kind of help direct you. And so the security line, make sure you have all of your paperwork out, like if you're traveling with your passports, birth certificates for your children, or just that identification that you used for the check-in process. Make sure those are out and available because that is the point in time that they're going to be looking at those, making sure you have everything in place. And then they'll also go ahead and connect your Disney, if you have a Disney Band Plus, they'll go ahead and connect that to your account. And then you'll go through, just like at airport security, you'll put your bags through a little x-ray and you'll walk through, and it's a pretty straightforward process. Just make sure you got everything organized and ready to go.
Yeah, so then you're going to head upstairs. You'll head up the escalator or the stairs, and you'll head up to the main part of the terminal building. Once you're in there, you're going to be looking to see what your boarding time is. This is another thing that you get when you basically do your port arrival time. They'll tell you which group you're a part of, and there's groups 1 through, we'll say 35. I don't know what the last number is, but the first numbers are usually concierge and some other ones. So don't expect to be in the first like 3 groups unless you're paying a lot of money. But after that, you'll see what time you had. Now we had group 18, so we were kind of middle. We were mid to late 12 o'clock time frame. So basically, once you get upstairs, then it's a waiting game again. But they do have the mock ship, and you can take pictures with it. And then they have TV screens up everywhere showing which group is boarding. And then, like I said, it's a waiting game. You're waiting for your group to be called, and then once your group is called, then the magic begins, because then you get in the line to walk through the Mickey Mouse head, which then heads to the gateway, I'll call it, and then you get up to the ship itself, where they will ask for your name, and they'll say, "We welcome the McNeil family," and they have microphones, and they say that in the Grand Hall, and it's really neat. It's a really special moment, especially for us because it was our first time, but I'm sure it never gets old. But that was really, really nice. But that's the embarkation process. I want to say a couple of quick things about the debarkation process. So the debarkation process, you're going to receive character tags on your last full day. So we ended up with Donald Duck as ours, but your room attendant will ask you, "Hey, how many do you want?" Even though they kind of have an idea how many pieces of luggage you started with, but who knows what you ended up with, what you bought on board. So they'll give you some extras if you ask for them, and then you have to fill those out. There's some information on the back of each one. That way, once your luggage is off board, if something happens, at least your information is on your luggage. But basically, you'll take that. You'll have to have your luggage out by 10 p.m. in front of your door. If you don't do that, your other option is for you to deal with your luggage, which if you put your character tags on, you put them out at 10, your room attendant will actually take your luggage away for you, and the next time you'll see your luggage is when you're exiting the ship. So you don't have to lug your luggage around that next morning. If you don't sit it out before 10, you're going to be responsible moving your luggage all over the place off the ship, which is could be tiresome. But you basically, the next morning when you wake up, you go to breakfast. Quick note first, make sure you have like a book bag or something to put your change of clothes from your nighttime clothes and have a change of clothes to change into for that last day. So make sure you have something to put that in. But you're going to go to breakfast. So just a heads up, we were in the early dining time at 5:45. Well, apparently that has something to do with breakfast too. So I think breakfast for us was at 6:30 on our debarkation day. And then we just assumed we were going to stay in the restaurant until our group got called, and then we were going to head off the ship. Well, apparently they do it by the dining time, so there was an 8 o'clock in the morning dining time as well. So we had to get out of the restaurant for the secondary dining time to come in to do their breakfast.
They gently nudged us out.
Yes, which I get. I didn't know. I didn't realize that was the case. And I'm not sure. Do the people in the later dining time get later debarking times, or I'm not sure. But then you got to go find somewhere to sit and hang out until your character is called, unless you're concierge. If you're concierge, your embarkation, you just get there, you walk straight up. There's no line you stand in. Basically, once 11 o'clock hits, they let you go into security. You have your own security desk that you go into, not one that everybody else does. And then you go straight on. Debarkation, it's basically the same thing. You have people that are taking care of you. Whenever you're ready to exit the ship, as long as we're in port and they've already said we're letting people off the ship, you walk straight to your people and they say, "All right, come on." And you have your own area that you walk, and you go straight off while everybody else waits for their character to get called. You don't have a character. But in that, you wait a bit. I think we waited maybe 45 minutes or so to get off the ship. And then once you head off the ship, what happens next?
So basically you go back through the port terminal just on another side. So you're gonna kind of go down this one area, and kind of to our left where we were, they ended up having a big open area where all the luggage was. And it was separated again by the characters. So they had big pictures of each of the characters, and then you had a few rows of I guess area where that character's like luggage was all lined up. So one item to note is like your luggage might get split up. So try to, if you can, make your luggage a little bit more unique and stand out. You might just look around a little bit.
Just expect to look for it, because you got to remember, like our cruise was full. It was 4,000 people.
Yeah.
So there are almost, because the concierge doesn't have to deal with it as much, but you got almost all of those 4,000 people, with every one of those having probably a piece of luggage or two, all in this one room. Now it's a large room, but there is a lot. You may have 4 different rows to go through, and there's stuff on top of tables, underneath tables, in front of tables. Luggage is everywhere. And like Hope said, your luggage probably isn't going to be, hey, look, we have 4 pieces of luggage. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably not going to happen. So you're going to have to walk the area until you find all of your pieces of luggage.
Yeah, it was a little bit, but we ended up finding every single one, so that was great.
And then the other thing that we did is we ended up getting a porter to help us. So you have to tip them, but it helped since we weren't exactly sure of the process, since it wasn't our first time. So we found our 4 pieces of luggage. And then the porter put them on a dolly, and the porter basically walked us through the entire process, walked us up to security, which is rather easy because on the way out, you've done things so many times, it's basically your face. And he gave us a note. Yeah,
he noticed we were all wearing baseball caps, and he was like, hey, just a heads up, they're going to be taking a picture of your face, so you might just lift your hat just a little bit on your head a little bit more so that you don't have to do it more than once.
Yeah, and it was really easy. You just walk up, it takes a picture of your face, it goes, yep, that's you, and then you head on through. And then, like I said, we used the porter, so the porter walked us straight out the door, straight over to the parking garage, into the elevator, because we were on the 2nd level, and right to our car. So of course we tipped him. And then the worst part of the whole trip, you crank the vehicle up to head out of the parking garage to go home.
Yeah.
But that was just a quick discussion on the embarkation and debarkation processes. All right, we're coming to the end of the video, and we just wanted to kind of introduce the entire family. So we have one member you haven't met yet. She's sitting here now. She is the one that is not happy when we go on these trips. That is Emmy. Emmy, you want to say hello? Yeah, now you're quiet. No, don't jump down. Okay. All right. So we just wanted to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting the channel by hitting the like button, as well as subscribing and ringing the bell for notifications on future videos.